We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, subscribe to our channel, ring that notification bell, smash that like button, share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football's rebel outpost, the home for the college football sickos. With a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $ where you make your comment, and I will get to Super Chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. So, it is Rivalry Week, and it is Wednesday. You know what that means. We are going to be making our picks against the spread. My record, Greg the Cooler, 71-78. The PATC Gridiron Einsteins are 71-78. So we're going to be making our picks. And I went 0-5 last week. 0-5. I have been Greg the Cooler for the last 6 weeks. So I am throwing out all logic because I obviously I don't have any logic. And I made my picks today with one thing in mind. I don't want to give it away now because I'm going to give you all a hint on what I did. with one mission. That's how I made my picks today. I did not use my own logic because that has not worked for 4 straight years. 4 straight. Jeff Olson. Yeah, I know, Jeff. I know the evil badger Jeff Olson is in the chat room. I get it. The Gophers are only favored by 1.5 points. I say only 1.5 points because these Badgers are horrific, but so are my Golden Gophers. So are my Golden Gophers. Anyways, so we are going to be making our picks. 13 games. 13 games. We did 5 last week, and that did not work out for yours truly. So we're doing 13 of them, and we are both 71 and 78. MBM Super Chat leads us off today. Holy smokes. In more ways than one. In more ways than one. The snow is falling in Minnesota. Cold, cold, cold in the forecast. That is true in triplicate form. Number one, it is snowing in Minnesota. We did have a lot of snow in Minnesota last night. There are places in Minnesota, northern Wisconsin that got 14 inches. My driveway is ice. We've already canceled something that the little general was going to do tonight. We're not going out. We're staying in. That's number one. It's also cold, cold in the forecast, as we know that the Gophers-Badger game is going to be played in the 20s. It's going to be played in the snow. And we also know that the Golden Gophers are sinking fast this year. It's been a brutally cold season for my Golden Gophers and for my picks against the spread. And I've been Greg the Cooler for 6 straight weeks. So this super chat from the Cowboy is correct in triplicate form. Thank you, MBM. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you so very much. AMAC, 0-13 this week, Greg. I probably would have gone 0-13 last week. But this week, I'm not using my mind. I'm not using my mind. I'm using my cold, cold heart. That's right. I have changed strategy. I have changed strategy. My brain, which has got me to be the re-elected mayor of Loserville City, that is not being used in these picks. So I got a shot. I got a shot to win some games this week. Let's go. Let's go. Evil Badger. No flip of the coin. Evil Badger, no cheating, Mad Gopher. No cheating. Well, look, if I could cheat, I would. But I don't know how to cheat. And if I am cheating, man, I'm doing a horrific job at cheating. I'm not going to cheat. I would if I could, but I can't, so I won't. I'm not above cheating, though. I'm not above cheating to give a Gophers the victory or to beat you guys against the spread. I'm not above cheating. I just don't know how it can be done. Unless I get in with the Mafia. And maybe that's going to be my next step. To get inside the Mafia. To get inside the point shaving. So I can beat the PATC Einsteins. So I can actually have a winning season. Thank you, MBM. I very much appreciate it. We have got quite the show today. The Raiola transfer, yes, it's being talked about. It's all over. I mean, it's Steve Sipple talked about it this morning. 247 talked about it this morning. National 247, not just Nebraska 247. Dylan Raiola is considering entering in the transfer portal. I believe, I might have this incorrect, but I believe Steve Sipple gave it like a 45% chance. A little less than half and half. I think others out there think it's more than 50-50. We are going to go through a short article on 247 about Dylan Raiola possibly, he's definitely considering going in the portal. You all know how I feel about Dylan Raiola. Very talented quarterback. Very talented quarterback who has not developed. He still has some developing left to do. He ain't there, guys. Like, he hangs on to the ball too long. He doesn't grip it and rip it enough. He does not put it in the tight windows enough. He's got the arm talent. Sometimes he's way too cautious. He does not want to throw the football down the field. But on the other hand, Dylan Raiola has not had a decent offensive line at Nebraska. He has been absolutely pummeled. They do not have tackles. They do not have Big Ten tackles. They don't have FBS tackles at Nebraska. They're spending all that money, but they don't have tackles. So Dylan Raiola is probably sitting there going, now you got TJ Lateef playing some decent football. Again, he's unproven. He might be the guy next year. But I think it's bad news. I don't think it's good news for Nebraska to lose Dylan Raiola going into the third year. I don't think it's good news. You're going to be losing Emmett Johnson. You're going to have a tougher schedule next year. And it's almost like, okay, TJ Lateef might be the guy. But next year was supposed to be the year. You know, it's like Dylan Raiola is basically saying, I'm not trusting this program to be in it for a third year. I think it's going to be a step back for Nebraska if Dylan Raiola actually goes in the portal. We are going to hit that story. We are going to be making our picks against the spread. We're going to be talking about Lane Kiffin. In fact, I've been sitting here. Christopher Hooter, Ross Dellinger is all but reporting that it's going to happen to LSU. All right? Well, you know what? Look, that might be the case. That's what I believe is going to happen. That is what I believe is going to happen. But we got a couple things going on here. Number one, this is the college football personalities predict Lane Kiffin's decision on 3. This came out this morning. Now, if you look at it, Brett McMurphy, Ole Miss. Chris Lowe, Ole Miss. Feinbaum, Curb Street. Howard, LSU. Dave Portnoy, or Ole Miss. The Big Cat, LSU. Brandon Walker, Ole Miss. Ross Dellinger, LSU. You go down the list. Josh Pate, Klatt. A lot of LSU. Way more LSU than any, and then Ole Miss and the Gators. You got a couple of Gators, and you've got a Tennessee Titan, Tom Fornelli, CBS Sports. So most of the college football personalities are going with LSU. I am going with LSU. But I think we're going to find out. I think there's going to... There's a chance it's going to start leaking here soon, the decision. I hope it doesn't, for the sake of the Ole Miss football players and for the Ole Miss fans. If it does leak, for the Ole Miss football players and for the Ole Miss fans, I'm hoping that it's going to be Ole Miss, the decision. But anyways, the decision is drawing near. The decision is drawing near, or the decision has been made, and we are about to get some leaks. So I've been sitting here. AMAC says Greg has just cursed LSU. Ryan Thomas, Super Chat. Ryan Thomas, the only solution is a single collective bargaining agreement for all of FBS. That doesn't mean the money share of the institutions has to be equal. No, it doesn't. It can be, there can be a luxury tax, whatever. You can have it a soft cap, like the NBA does. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the only long-term solution, but we're not anywhere close to that happening. That's the problem. Labor is not even asking for that. The poll among the student athletes are saying we don't want to be employees of the school. So I don't know, it's a solution. But even with the collective bargaining, if teams want to cheat, they're going to be able to cheat. That's the problem. The culture of cheating is the one massive negative in the sport that we love. People want to cheat. Boosters want to cheat. The fans want their schools to cheat. They don't want to sign any papers. They don't care about governance. That's the one huge negative on the sport that we love. So even with collective bargaining, you can cheat, right? Just look at the NBA. Look what's going on with the LA Clippers. So nothing is the solution if the culture of cheating is so prevalent in college football. Getting back, thank you, Ryan Thomas. Thank you for the $5 holla. I very much appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. A lot of people agree with you, Ryan Thomas. So I'm sitting here, and yeah, big news. Jim Mora is heading to Colorado State. Absolutely big, massive news. The Rams got their guy, Jim Mora. Big hire for Colorado State. I had a friend who went to Colorado State football game, a couple of football games with his wife. He showed me pictures. He sent me a little video was 2 years ago. He says that stadium is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Hopefully Jim Mora can help fill it up. Anyways, could be a really good future for Colorado State in the Pac-12, in the new Pac-12. Anyway, so I'm sitting here with this Lane Kiffin drama going on. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I have to do a PATC rendition of this drama, right? I have to sing a song. And it's got to be a little, sappy. It's got to be a sappy song. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what song should I sing? What rendition should I sing? And I was thinking of doing Sting, Every Breath You Take, right? And so I did that a few times. The song works, but it doesn't work. So I'm going through my options. And of course, I'm butchering every song I sing. But I have to scratch the creative itch. Plus, I have to, So It Goes. I could have done that one. So I settled on Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you. Bryan Adams, everything I do it for you. So, we are going to do this right now. Evil Badger, I am going to get to your super chat after we're done with this song. Very important events going on. Thank you, Evil Badger. So I'm going to get this song sung before the decision is made, because if a decision is made before I sing the song, then, it's kind of worthless, right? So here it is. PATC Rendition. The Lane Kiffin drama. Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you. Good luck. Yes, you can turn it down. Let the dogs out. Get them outside. Look into my eyes, and you will see what you mean to me. Search your heart, search your soul. When you find me there, your search no more. Don't tell me it's not worth trying for. You can't tell me it's not worth dying for. You know it's true. Everything I do it for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look into your heart, and you will find there's nothing there to hide. Just take me as I am. Take my life. I would give it all. I would sacrifice. Don't tell me it's not worth fighting for. I can't help it. There's nothing I want more. You know it's true. Everything I do it for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no love like your love. And no wonder could give me more love. There's nowhere unless you're there all the time, all the way. can't tell me it's not worth trying for. I can't help it. There's nothing I want more. Oh, I'd fight for you. I'd lie for you. Walk the wire for you. Oh, I'd die for you. You know it's true. Everything I do. Oh, babe, I do it for you. All right, guys. Look, here's my excuses. Cranky Tiger. It's like playing a 45 on a 33. You know, so I did like 4 or 5 renditions of this when I was practicing. And it was worse when I sang it at normal tempo. It was worse. It was worse. I don't know. It was really, really bad. So I had to slow it down and make it bad. Not really, really bad. So I understand that. Bryan Adams called. By the way, you know, that is another excuse is that song is, that's really high, man. That you got to hit some high notes, and I cannot do that. My cats ran to the front door and now outside rolling in the grass. Okay, well, they're smart cats then. Very smart cats. Thank you, Husker Magic. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, guys. So that's the rendition of this Lane Kiffin drama. It had to be done. I had to scratch the creative itch. I just did not know what song to do. I settled on this song. Next time, I'm going to ask for you guys' opinion like I've done in the past. Super Chat, Evil Badger. Evil Badger, Super Chat. Yeah, breaking news right before we came on. Prayers for the 2 National Guard personnel that were shot near the White House. Everything is on lockdown. We do not know the motives behind the shooting of the 2 National Guards, but I agree with Evil Badger. Prayers to the 2 National Guardmen and their loved one, their families. Hopefully they're going to be okay, but I haven't heard. It was breaking news right before we came on live. Very disturbing. Everything around the White House was on lockdown when I came on live. So prayers to the 2 National Guardmen. Thank you, Eva Badger, for bringing that up. I do appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for the $5 holla. Thank you for the $5 holla. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, we got to make our picks against the spread. We got to make our picks against the spread. You guys go first. We both have a record of 71 and 78. Then we're going to go through some Dylan Raiola information. We're going to go talk about what's going on at the University of South Florida. Interesting stuff. And then we're going to be talking about a Dan Wolken article on the college football playoffs. So we've got a lot to do in a live show. I appreciate you all joining us. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. If I don't get to talk to you tomorrow, I hope you enjoy your turkey or your ham or whatever you're going to be feasting on tomorrow on Thanksgiving. Let's get to it. We start off with, of course, Eva Badger says they're in critical condition. Thank you, Eva Badger. We start off with the game on Friday. The drama is absolutely It's so thick on this game. Look at the line. It's only plus 7.5, Mississippi State. Wow. All right, guys. All right, you guys go first. Does Ole Miss, you know how this works, cover the minus 7.5 point spread versus Mississippi State? If you vote yes, that means you want Ole Miss and you're willing to give 7.5 points. If you vote no, you want Mississippi State and receive 7.5 points. The voting begins now. Movie Time Blues. Greg, it appears Paramount and Warner Brothers will merge. That has the potential of rework in sports media. I did read yesterday, I thought it was yesterday, maybe it was Monday, that Warner Brothers were looking for everybody to rebid. They were looking for sweeteners. So I don't know. Movie Time Blues, give me a link to that. The last I heard, Warner Brothers was looking for rebids. Christopher Hooter says the Kiffin drama does affect Ole Miss. I don't know how it couldn't. Steve McNeely, I'm basing my pick on who I want to lose, not who I think will lose. We've got a 50-50 here. 5 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're in overtime. The next vote decides it. There it is. 52% says yes. Ole Miss. That is the longest overtime we have ever had here at Peek Around the Corner. Wow. The PATC family, very undecided on this game. And so am I. Holy smokes. You guys took Ole Miss. Wow, it went into overtime. Okay, Iowa, Nebraska. Iowa and Nebraska. Iowa's had Nebraska's number over the last decade. Does Iowa cover the minus 6.5 point spread versus Nebraska? If you vote yes, that means you want Iowa and you're willing to give 6.5 points. If you vote no, that means you want the Cornhuskers and receive 6.5 points. The voting begins now. Again, on the Ole Miss Mississippi State game, if Kiffin decides to stay at Ole Miss, that's good. If that's what he wants to do, that's great. Great for Ole Miss, right? Fantastic news for Ole Miss. Good for Lane Kiffin. But if he does stay at Ole Miss, there's always going to be a part of me that's going to be like, man, did he risk a lot for Ole Miss? I get that he might be undecided. I completely understand that, guys. He's a human. Maybe he's completely undecided. Maybe he's having real difficult making the decision. But if you make that decision last week or 2 weeks ago that you're staying at Ole Miss, you would have that football program, that football fan base, you would have them all fired up. They would be absolutely locked in. But if you decide to stay at Ole Miss now, man, did you put your team at risk? And for what? Because you couldn't quite make the decision. That's why I don't think he goes back to Ole Miss. It doesn't. I just don't think that's going to be the case. We're going to find out together. 5 more seconds on the vote. We got a landslide. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes. Iowa. The PATC Einsteins took Iowa in a landslide. Oh, we got Georgia. We got Georgia, and we got Georgia Tech. My, oh my. My, oh my. Last year it went, how many overtimes? How many overtimes did it go last year? 8, 9, 7? Does Georgia cover the minus 13.5 point spread versus Georgia Tech? If you vote yes, that means you want the Bulldogs and you're willing to give 13.5 points. If you vote no, you're taking the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech and you receive 13.5 points. The voting begins now. No question about it. The Oklahoma State Cowboys had a very, very, very good day yesterday. And the fans are excited. Big, big day for Oklahoma State. Going to give you guys 5 more seconds on the vote. It's a close vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 54 says yes. 54%. A close vote. Very close vote on that 13.5 points. Very interesting. Texas A&M and Texas. The Aggies versus the Longhorns. Rivalry week. Texas A&M is going into Texas and they're only favored by 2.5 points. Does Texas A&M, boy, this is going to be a game. Holy smokes. Man, this is going to be a beautiful Saturday. Does Texas A&M cover the minus 2.5 point spread versus Texas? If you vote yes, that means you want the Aggies and you're willing to give 2.5 points. If you vote no, that means you want the Longhorns and you are going to receive 2.5 points. The voting begins now. Adam says, battered Aggie syndrome will show its head this weekend. Big time choke. Oh, gosh. My goodness. Woo! 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Texas A&M gets the votes. They will cover according to the PATC Einsteins. And that does not surprise me because there is no team in Power 4 football that gets less respect, less votes in the PATC family than the Texas Longhorns. Miami at Pittsburgh. Miami at Pittsburgh. Does Miami cover the minus 6.5 point spread versus Pittsburgh? If you vote yes, that means you want the Hurricanes and you're willing to give 6.5 points. If you vote no, that means you want the Panthers and you're going to receive 6.5 points. The voting begins now. Tough Tony says, gonna be cold in Pittsburgh. Rod Nix, Texas A&M statement. Statement game. Husker Magic, Texas A&M are the comeback kids. They will trail until the end when they pull out a last-minute win. Go Gators, thanks for coming on in. I like the Panthers. I like Pittsburgh. But I don't see how they'd be in this game. My prof, it's underdog week. It's underdog week. And then Jose comes in and says, Miami on the road in November. ... 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 64% of you said no. Miami ain't going to cover. Not in November. Not on the road. Not on the road. Pittsburgh is the pick. Pittsburgh is the pick for the PATC Gridiron Einsteins. Clemson at South Carolina. Not a whole lot of play for in this Palmetto game, but these fans don't like each other. These fans don't like each other. Here we go. Does South Carolina at home? Now, South Carolina beat Clemson last year at Clemson. Does South Carolina cover the -2.5 point spread versus Clemson? If you want the Gamecocks, you're going to vote yes, and you're willing to give 2.5 points. If you want the Tigers, you're going to vote no and receive 2.5 points. The voting begins now. Again, if you missed it, if you just joined us, we did a PATC rendition of Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you. All about the Lane Kiffin love that's going on in LSU country, that is going on in Florida country, Florida Gator country. 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 52% says no. The PATC Einsteins took Clemson narrowly. Narrowly, they took Clemson. Vanderbilt, Tennessee. Vanderbilt, Tennessee. The rival. This is in Knoxville. Does Tennessee cover the -2.5 point spread versus Vanderbilt? If you vote yes, you're taking the Volunteers and you're willing to give 2.5 points. If you vote no, you're taking the Commodores and you're going to get 2.5 points. The voting begins now. Adam, the Pavia Swan Song. MBM, Clemson loses and Dabble gets fired. I don't think Dabble's getting fired. Dabble might be looking for a job, though. He might look this coaching carousel, man. It's when the Lane Kiffin thing happens, there is going to be a ripple effect, and it's going to last for a while, I believe. 5 more seconds on the vote. We got another close vote. A lot of close votes this week. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 54% of you said no. So the family, the PATC Gridiron Einsteins, took Vanderbilt. Wake Forest, Duke. Duke is still alive to get to the ACC championship game. Does Duke cover the -1.5 point spread versus Wake Forest? If you vote yes, that means you want the Blue Devils and you're willing to give 1.5 points. If you vote no, that means you want the Demon Deacons and receive 1.5 points. The voting begins now. Adam says the loser of the Kiffin sweepstakes will have a good program of lots of talent and money in desperate need of good coaches. Florida is looking at Riley, Fish, and Summerall. I don't think Lincoln Riley's going anywhere. Fish, yes. Summerall, yes. I think Lincoln Riley's going to stay right where he is. We'll see what happens. 5 more seconds on the vote. We got a landslide here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm a little surprised by all the love that Duke got on this vote. Duke in a landslide. Little surprised about all the love that you all gave to Duke on that one. Oregon, Washington. Oregon, Washington. Does Oregon cover the -6.5 point spread versus Washington? If you vote yes, you're taking the Ducks and you're willing to give 6.5 points. If you vote no, that means you'd want the Huskies and you're going to receive 6.5 points. The voting begins now. Don Scruggs says Lincoln is scared of the Southeastern Conference. Husker Magic, it's going to be Duke and not even close. Husker Magic, you could be the quarterback with Lee Go Gators as your left tackle, with Jimmy Austin as your right tackle, and with Don Scruggs as your running back, and you would score 30 points against the Duke Blue Devils. So don't be so sure that the Duke Blue Devils can beat the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 59% says Oregon. Oregon will cover. I don't know. I don't know about that. LSU at Oklahoma. LSU at Oklahoma. Does Oklahoma cover the -10.5 point spread versus LSU? If you vote yes, you want the Sooners and you're willing to give 10.5 points. If you vote no, you want the Tigers and receive 10.5 points. The voting begins now. MBM says it's a big spread. Adam says nope. LSU has checked out. 5 more seconds on the vote. We got a close one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 52% takes Oklahoma. 52% says yes. Oklahoma is going to cover. The Battle of the Axe. The beloved Golden Gophers versus the evil Badgers. The good guys versus the bad guys. Let's go. You know what to do. You know what to do. You know what to do. Let's go, PATC Einsteins. Let's go. Does Minnesota cover the -1.5 point spread versus Wisconsin? If you want the beloved Golden Gophers, if you want a gold star in heaven, you're going to take yes. You're going to vote yes for the Gophers. If you want to be a complete moron, vote no and take Wisconsin and receive 1.5 points. The voting begins now. Son of Sarek, Fickle has the Badgers playing well. I think these two programs are going in the opposite direction. Badgers take it. Evil Badgers, Jeff Olson says Badgers. My props is for Greg. MBM, he complete moron. He's taking the Badgers. Boy, we got a close vote. 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 51% took Minnesota. 51% took Minnesota. Look at that. 51%. There it is. There it is. There it is. Charleston Duck, the Gophers suck. One of the easiest wins of the year. Minnesota. Bimba 75-79. Another fast count. I don't know what you're talking about. Jose, I do not know what you're talking about. Another fast count. No, I don't know what you're saying there. Auburn, Alabama, Auburn. Alabama, Auburn. Oh, okay. Everybody relax. Does Alabama... Now, this is an incredible, interesting line. Does Alabama cover the minus 5.5 point spread? Ah, shoot. My bad. Versus Auburn. If you vote yes, you're taking the Crimson Tide, and you're willing to give 5.5 points. If you vote no, that means you want the Auburn Tigers and receive 5.5 points. The voting begins now. Movie Time Blues, I will look at your DM after we make our picks. I appreciate you keeping your head on a swivel. Thank you, sir. Tony, tough Tony, 5.5. What am I missing? Charleston Duck, only 5.5. Mob Prop, Bam overrated. Big Gun Shop, Einsteins. AMAC, crazy things have happened at Auburn. The Evil Badger, Jeff Olson. The Badgers just beat 2 ranked teams in Washington and Illinois. 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 65% takes Alabama. Okay, last game on the slate. The game. Buckeyes and the Wolverines. Does Ohio State cover the minus 10.5 point spread at the Big House versus Michigan? If you vote yes, you're taking the Buckeyes and you're willing to give 10.5 points. If you vote no, you're taking Michigan and receive 10.5 points. The voting begins now. We've got a very close vote here. I'm going to give 5 more seconds, and it's not going to be a fast count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 56% says yes. You all took the Ohio State Buckeyes. Rod Nick says the West Virginia governor is reporting that the guardsmen are dead. Do they have the shooter? Do they have the suspect? Let me know in the chat if they have the suspect or the shooter. Let me know, Rod Nix or anybody else. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, guys. Again, last week, we only made 5 picks. I focused in on those 5 picks. I focused on the 5 games that I was most sure of. Okay? I made my 5 picks. You all made your 5 picks. You all were 3 games behind me on the win column. You all went 3-2. I went 0-5. 0-5. I'm not going to use my brain. I'm not using my brain this week. What I am going to do is I'm going to pick the team that if they play better than what they should be on the line, I'm going to be picking the games. I'm going to be picking the side that would cause the most playoff chaos. This is playoff chaos week. You all can call it rivalry week. I'm calling it playoff chaos week. So, I haven't even figured all this out yet. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Well, I'm taking Mississippi State. Right? A win causes more chaos. Nebraska, Iowa. This is a non-chaos game. I am going to take the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I think it's going to be a close one, but this is a non-chaos game. Georgia versus Georgia Tech. Well, I'm taking Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech for the win, baby. Georgia Tech for the win. Texas A&M and Texas. Now, this is a chaos that could go either way on this, right? I think it's going to cause a little bit more chaos if Texas wins this game. So I took Texas. Pittsburgh and Miami. Chaos, advantage, Panthers. I took Panthers. Clemson and South Carolina. It's not a playoff chaos game. I'm going to take Clemson. Vanderbilt at Tennessee. I'm taking Tennessee. More chaos. Duke and Wake Forest. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take Duke because I think that's going to cause more chaos if Duke gets to the ACC championship game and potentially wins it. So I took Duke. Oregon and Washington. A Washington win would cause more chaos. I took Washington. LSU, Oklahoma. I took LSU. Wisconsin and Minnesota. Well, there's no question what I'm doing there. I'm taking my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers to keep the axe home. It's got to happen. I pray to the maroon and gold God in the sky. The axe stays home. Minnesota is the pick. Auburn is the definite pick. And by the way, the line at 5.5. Guys, gals, people are really starting to sour on Alabama. Because they can't run the ball a lick. And I think the weaknesses are starting to flare up on Alabama, just like at the end of last year. I think there's a Kalen DeBoer situation going on. I'm going to take Auburn. And this could be the game that causes a lot of chaos. So I got Auburn. And then Ohio State and Michigan, I got Michigan. That's going to cause the most chaos. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's chaos weekend, and that's what I did because I cannot rely on my brain because I am the loser the mayor of Louisville City. So, I took Mississippi State. You all took Ole Miss. I took Nebraska. You guys took Iowa. I took Georgia Tech. You all took Georgia. I took Texas. You all took Texas A&M. We both took Pittsburgh. Both of us took Pittsburgh. Clemson, South Carolina. We both took Clemson. I took Tennessee. You all took Vanderbilt. We both took Duke. I took Washington. You all took Oregon. I took LSU. You took Oklahoma. We both took Minnesota. 51% of you took Minnesota. Alabama, Auburn. I took Auburn. You all took Alabama. I took Michigan. You all took Ohio State. So there is our picks against the spread. It is all in the books. Okay. Greg's picks colder than a toilet seat in Antarctica. Einstein's win this week in a landslide. Law enforcement, son of Sarek, law enforcement sources told Post that the suspect was shot 4 times. Picture also showed him being hauled away nearly naked in an ambulance. What does that mean? Was he almost naked when he did the shooting? Or did the first responders trying to save his life ripped off his clothes? Greg chose destruction. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is what I did. I chose destruction. Absolutely. We've got the Evil Badger Super Chat. Evil Badger, the axe will be coming back to Madison for many years to come. No! Not happening, Evil Badger. I am not going to eat a cheeseburger live on that Sunday Aftermath show. I am not going to eat a cheeseburger live. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. The Golden Gophers are gonna rise up. They're gonna rise up. If they have to cheat, they will. If they have to pay off the refs, they will. At Huntington Bank Stadium in the snow, 26 degrees, the Golden Gophers are gonna beat the Evil Badgers once again. The series is tied 63, and I think it's 8 or something. But the wins and the losses, 63 and 63. After Saturday, the Gophers will have one more win than the Evil Badgers. Thank you for the $5 holler, Evil Badger. I very much appreciate it. Very much. We got another very kind super chat. Mr. Mountaineer, Larry Andrick. Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate it. The $5 holler. West Virginia. They're finishing strong this year. Rich Rod, the Mountaineers are better at the end of the year than they were at the start of the year. That's a very good sign for next year. Thank you, Larry Andrick, for the $5 holler, for your generosity, for your kindness. Thank you so very much. Okay, now we got our picks done, and we had to do that. We had to do the PATC rendition of the Bryan Adams song. We did that at the beginning of the show. I want to get into a few more things here. The Dan Wolken thing. Yahoo Sports. Dan Wolken contends that the SEC and the Big Ten are so far apart on the college football playoff structure that it is hard to predict whether one side will prevail or a compromise will be struck. Furthermore, Wilkins said. But by now, one thing should be clear to both sides. The current 12-team playoff, as well-intentioned as it might be, was designed for the college football landscape as it was before the last round of conference realignment. Wilkins submits that the CFP has effectively become a 10-team playoff with weak first-round games at the expense of potentially stronger 10-2 teams. All right. Correct. Not only is the 12-team playoff constructed for a world before conference expansion, it was constructed basically in a world before we knew the impact of NIL and this new rev share and the transfer portal. The sport is completely different. You've got to democratize the sport. You've got to make the playoff much larger. I agree with Dan Wolken. We probably do not agree on the I want the 24-teamer, but Dan Wolken is correct in my opinion. The 12-team playoff is now obsolete. And we're going to get chaos, and I'm loving every moment of it because that is going to be the fuel that changes the college football playoffs. And now we've got this USF Board of Trustees. University of South Florida Board of Trustees yesterday approved an internal loan to athletics of up to $22.5 million, including a $16 million increase in student athlete revenue sharing payments for the 26 and 27 fiscal year. That increase allows the Bulls to reach the $20.5 million national cap for the next fiscal year. The loan will be funded through investment gains and will not use student fees. Well, interesting, isn't it? University of South Florida is taking out a little bit of an internal loan, and it's going to get paid back by investment gains. What investment? I don't know. Probably the University of South Florida using a private equity firm, probably, or some sort of outside expertise like they do with their brilliant research and endowment at that university. Just something, I just wanted to put that out there. University of South Florida are betting on themselves, and it's not getting really any blowback from anybody. Kind of sounds familiar, right? And then we've got the Dylan Raiola, Chris Hummer, Nebraska, preparing for the possibility of Dylan Raiola enters the transfer portal. Nebraska is again wondering about the future of its starting quarterback, Dylan Raiola. The Huskers held on to Raiola last offseason after his camp had informal conversations with other programs about potentially entering the transfer portal. There is a sense in Lincoln that this offseason may be different, as Nebraska is bracing for Raiola to explore leave, and sources tell CBS Sports. Raiola has not played since November 1st after breaking his fibula. His younger brother, Dayton Raiola, decommitted from Nebraska's 26th class last week. Dominic Raiola, the father of Dylan and Dayton and former All-American at Nebraska, declined to comment when reached about this story in Dylan's future. Dylan, a former 5-star recruit, made about $3.5 million in NIL money last year. Any transfer decision would not be about the money. Nebraska is expected to increase its total NIL rev share payout next season. So if Dylan Raiola leaves, it ain't about the money. It's because he wants to, I don't know, maybe he doesn't believe anymore that the Nebraska offense can work around him. The offensive line has been just terrible. Raiola threw for 2,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Many dominoes remain in the 26 transfer portal quarterback market. There's no guarantee Dylan would choose to leave or even find a better spot elsewhere. A fractured fibula would not imperil Raiola's chances of beginning the 2026 season on time. November and December is a common time for contract leverage. So is this just a leverage play? Players are being shopped across the country. But Raiola's situation is considered tenuous after Dayton's decision to open up his recruitment. And with the knowledge that Raiola's can't mold transferring last season, the Huskers are bullish on the future of their quarterback room. The early returns on freshman quarterback TJ Lateef has been pretty good. I don't know, guys. I think it's going to hurt Nebraska if Dylan Raiola leaves. He's one hell of a talent. There is still some developing left to do, especially you got to get rid of the football. He hangs on for it too long. But his arm talent is legit. And but maybe he's just tired of playing behind that offensive line. I've seen, look, I don't know about this, guys. At Charleston Duck, Raiola started following Dan Lanning and a bunch of Duck players last week. Does Dan Lanning want Raiola? Does he think that Raiola can develop under him? At Oregon, you got to get rid of the football. Dylan Gabriel, boom, 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 boom. Dante Moore, pretty good at that. But Dylan Raiola is not, it's not like he pulls the trigger 3 steps back, boom. Tough Tony says Lanning can get a better QB. I was always looking for a quarterback. Yeah. I don't know, guys. We'll see what happens, but I think that would be a tough loss for Nebraska. TJ Lateef might end up being a better quarterback. And he's looked pretty good. Now they went against UCLA. Last week he went against Iowa and went all pear-shaped. No, not last week. Penn State. We'll see how Lateef does against Iowa. I suspect he's going to struggle, but we'll see. Now look, the quarterbacks in the transfer portal. It's going to be something to watch. Remember, January 2nd to January 16th. It's going to be very dramatic. And if Dylan Raiola goes in the portal, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks. He's going to be one of the top quarterbacks, in my opinion. Alrighty. I think Greg secretly loves cheeseburgers. Ask any family member. Ask any friend of mine. All the sermons that I've given to you all about don't mix meat and cheese together, I've given them the same sermon. Jeff Olson. I need you right now to put in the chat that it is true that Greg Pflugar hates cheeseburgers, and I'm always giving sermons to my friends Jeff Olson, Terry Noy, Dan Leonard. There it is. It's true. There is no secret here. I'm authentic. I'm absolutely authentic. If the Badgers beat the Gophers and I have to eat that cheeseburger, it's going to be the worst day that I've ever had in the studio doing the most unpopular national college football YouTube channel in the country. So I need all of you. I need every single one of you to pray that the Golden Gophers are going to win, to come out with the victory. All right, can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, let's go to your phone calls. I've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes again. If you missed it, go back at the start of our live show. We did the PATC rendition of Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you, in and around the Lane Kiffin situation. Let me check. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to open up the phone lines. Phone lines are now open. 760-260-1333. Let me know what you're thinking these games this weekend. Ohio State and Michigan. Does the Wolverines have a shot to shock the world again? What about Texas? Can they beat the Aggies?
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. BYU is knocking on the door once again. Most likely going to be 11-1, playing against the Red Raiders in the Big 12 championship game. The floor is yours.
Well, I'll be there. So hopefully I'm good luck. But I was kind of reminded, since we played Cincinnati last week. You remember the old show in the '80s, WKRP Cincinnati, Greg?
Yeah.
So I thought of a song for you that's based on that. I don't sing. I'll just kind of say the lyrics, but. Baby, don't you ever wonder whatever happened to Greg the Gold? He's been cooling on air in Loserville City, Loserville, WPATC. He got tired of peeking around the corner, started picking games wrong up and down the board. Maybe Greg and winning were never meant to be. Maybe he'll get one right every once in a while. He's at WPATC in Loserville City. It's probably better I didn't sing that for you all.
Next year, Ryan Thomas, next year is my year. Because
it's got to happen. The law of averages says that Greg's going to eventually have something go his way.
Yes. Statistically speaking, it should have happened this year. But you know what? We just had a third interstellar rock come through our solar system, and it was very unique. I think this fourth year that I've had in a row that was abysmal. I think that's very unique. I think everything's going to change next year. Go ahead, sir.
No, that's all I had to say. I just want to say you're doing a great job on the show. I just can't agree. I agree with you 1,000,000,000% on the 2014 playoff. I think that's really the only way to go. It's a lot easier to say why 9-3 or 8-4 teams should be left out rather than 10-2 teams. And I think going that route towards the 2014 playoff, that would probably capture your traditional top 25 as it is, and the breakout I think that's probably the best way to go. I hope that what I'm really worried about right now is morons like Ken Paxton and others trying to screw this whole thing up, and blowing up this whole house settlement and ruining the sport. Because what's going to happen is, if that happens, private capital will fill the gap, and everybody, all the conferences, I don't care if you're the Big Ten or the SEC, all the conferences at that point are on basically a short life. So, I mean, let's hopefully some cooler heads prevail and smarter people. The university presidents are a little smart, but I don't have my hopes high. I just kind of get irritated that you have people like this that want to make political gains out of this, and people who want to cheat or game the system,
Yep.
try to undo everything that's done, and it'll end up blowing the whole thing up for everybody.
Yep.
And then we'll end up with that 24-team league of all the best brands that are out there, and everyone else will, college sports itself will die. And thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah.
But hopefully university presidents are, at least get some wisdom. But anyway, great show, Greg. Have a great day, my friend, and good luck to your Gophers.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Beautiful call.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, people just want to, people do not want to be governed. People don't want college football to be governed. A lot of people just don't want it to have it to be governed. And then people say, well, Greg, if we had a collective bargaining agreement, then it would be governed. No, it wouldn't. You still have to follow the rules in the collective bargaining agreement world.
From
Evil Badger, can you hold on for a second?
Yes.
Even in the collective bargaining world, there are rules, and you have to follow them. Look at what's happening to the LA Clippers right now. And this whole thing about NIL, they have rules in the NBA, in the NFL when it comes to NIL. People are treating this like, oh my God, the players are being guys. Look, we all want the student athletes. We all want them to make as much money as possible. But if you're going to just lay down for the top 1 and 2% of the student athletes in college sports, if that is what your motivation is, you are going to destroy everything. And by the way, that's the motivation of all these agents and lawyers that are being paid by these agents on X. They want Major League Baseball. Wake up. This sport can't survive a Major League Baseball setup. Wake up. Oh, we're not going to sign the membership thing. Blah blah blah. Okay, whatever, man. I mean, you've got people out there who say we all got to come together. We all got to come together. We all got to get it. And then the next day they're doing character assassinations against the commissioners. Then the following day, oh well, I'm going to talk to the commissioner. What a bunch of blowhards. What a bunch of politician hacks out there. You know what? If we do not get a miracle, a carve out, if that SCORE Act does not eventually pass the Senate as it's going to pass the House, if there's not more compromise, if it doesn't pass the Senate, we're doomed. We're doomed. It's over, Johnny. It's over. We're going to be doing a lot of those shows this 2026. And for those who say, well, Greg, if we only make this change, if we only did this, and if we only had collective bargaining, we can't get 68 teams together and agree on nothing. People are always wanting to take shots. People always want to destroy. This is the ambulance that the lawyers are chasing, college sports. And they're going to nitpick this thing together. They're going to destroy it. They're going to keep suing in certain teams certain programs, certain fan bases are going to pat these lawyers on the back anytime they feel that they're a victim. Oh, go ahead and sue. Go ahead and sue the CSC. Go ahead and sue. You know, if your team is part of a Power 4 conference, guess what? Your university, your athletic department, your university signed up for it. You are a member of that conference. And you're following the rules of that conference, right? Right? But that conference really has no right to set the rules according to all these lawyers out there that a lot of you are cheering for. Why are you following the rules of your conference? Why is your team following the rules of your conference? Because at some point, if you're going to be part of association, you got to follow the damn rules. And that's what this 68 team, 69, 70 team thing was about. Everybody following the rules that you would not participate in suing us. Your attorney general can sue us. The state can sue us. Individuals can sue us. All these lawyers can sue us. But all this was a confirmation that your school would not participate in the suing. And we can't even get that across. We can't even punch that in the end zone. Because of a bunch of loudmouths who just want to be the hero of everything. And they're not the hero. They're destroying everything. And you've got all these fans. Yeah. This is a joke. I wasn't going to talk about this, but Ryan Thomas got me going. Hey, let me know what this perfect governance is. Let me know what it is. Let me know exactly what it looks like. That's unpenetrable from the lawyers, from the suits. Let me know. I'll sign on. We'll all sign on. But there is nothing perfect. So we're making the enemy of the good, whatever that saying is. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, don't get fooled again. We're doomed, man. We are doomed if we do not get a federal government carve-out. Because we can't... I don't want to say names, but... Man, there are a bunch of loudmouths out there. And go ahead, Ryan Willie. The floor is yours. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for taking my call. One thing before I get to the reason why I called. If the college football dies, then the NFL dies because there's nothing to keep the NFL going if there's no colleges playing. Also.
Hello.
Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
But the reason why I called is, does it look like they're finally going to approve that 24-team CFP? Because I'm wondering if how long it'll take for them to come to an agreement, or else I think college football will die.
I mean, it's not so much that college football will die. I mean, some of it will. But we're not going to, but it's going to wither. Let's put it that way. It's going to wither. It's going to get smaller. I mean, people are demanding it to get smaller right now. I often bring up the example of even Bud Elliott on X said a couple of days ago, there should not be G5 teams in the playoffs, right? They don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And I read that and I'm like, it isn't in. People like the football is healthier. The Power 4 programs, the conferences are healthier when the G5 programs can pay their bills. Because they're giving opportunities to student athletes. They're giving scholarships to student athletes. And the way that these FBS programs are paying their bills is to be in the college football playoffs. That is a large percentage of the revenue they're getting. And that is good for college football. People got to look at it in big scope, not small. NCAA basketball is healthier because we have a large NCAA basketball tournament that small colleges can get to, that we don't cut them off. We've got G5 guys going in the transfer portal every year, transferring to bigger programs and getting more exposure and then getting drafted in the NFL. That is good. And so this whole thing about making it smaller and smaller and more special, you're not making it more special. You're not. And I think a lot of people are thirsting for this 24-team Super League. Or 26 or 28 or 32. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the product of college football. It really is, in my opinion. Go ahead, Ryan Willie.
Changing the subject, getting back to the rivalry week.
Yes.
And first, I guarantee the Badgers will bring the Axe back to Madison. They will beat Minnesota by at least at 10. And Ohio State will destroy Michigan.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think the Buckeyes are going to win pretty handily. Yep. I agree with you.
But as far as the playoff system goes, personally, I believe it should be called the ESPN Invitational, because they want to make their brands in it. They want to get as many SEC teams in it as possible.
Yep.
They might as well either call it the SEC Championship or the ESPN Invitational, because the Big 12 is going to get screwed.
Yep.
The ACC is going to get screwed.
Yep. And let's be blunt. If there was not this huge basketball tournament, like they would love to make the NCAA basketball tournament more of the big brands and only have a couple of these smaller schools. That's why they're trying to get a bigger tournament, to try to get more Big 10, more Big 12, more ACC, more SEC teams in the tournament. And but the NCAA tournament is too popular, too powerful for them to break it up. And that's why I think there are forces against in a large 24-team playoff, because they're afraid that it's going to work. They're not afraid that it's not going to work. They're afraid that it's going to work. In a 24-team playoff, you are not hurting the Southeastern Conference. You're not hurting the Southeastern Conference. The Southeastern Conference is going to get, 7, 8, 9 teams in the playoffs. You're going to get 4 AQs, and out of the 6, you might get another 4. 8, 7, 9. You're going to have more first-round home games or second-round home games. the Southeastern Conference is going to benefit from it. And they're going to benefit from it because the entire college football world is going to benefit from it. So ultimately, they're going to benefit from it. It does not hurt the Southeastern Conference. Basically, it raises the floor of the Big 12, the ACC, and the G6 conferences. And because their floor is raised, their media value, their sponsorship value, their interest all goes up. At the beginning of every single year, you know that the top 4 teams in your conference is going to make the playoffs, and you have still a chance for an at-large bid. They don't want that 2014 playoff to exist because they're afraid it's going to work. And if it works, and I think it would, then it's going to take the leverage away from the SEC and some forces in the Big Ten and the media companies to break away from everybody else. That is my opinion.
All right. Well, like in last year's basketball tournament, there should have been no way that 14 and 16 should have been in that tournament. But
it's not going to happen this year. The SEC's had a very poor start in basketball. Don Scruggs, sorry man, the Southeastern Conference in basketball this year has been very bad. So they're not repeating the performance of last year.
All right, well, that's all I had. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right,
Appreciate
bye.
Kalani, it depends on how the 2014 playoff is scheduled. No way do you want any of it up against NFL games. Yeah, you're going to have to, no matter if you stick with a 12-game playoff, 12-team playoff, 16-team playoff, or 2014 playoff, we're going to have to move up the college football schedule. We're going to have to start it in week 1 or week 2 of August. No matter what we what are you talking about, Greg? Don't you know that the SEC teams in basketball have had a bunch of really great losses? Yeah, rock and rant. Yeah, you're going to have to move up the college football schedule. No, I'm a lunatic. I get it. I'm crazy. I get it. I think there is great fear that the 24 college football team playoffs would be a massive success. And by the way, you would still have disagreement. There would be teams that did not make the playoffs, that they believe they should have made the playoffs. That's not going away. And in some ways, that's good, right? You're going to have the selection committee straight seeding the 24 teams. We're still going to have these debates. So that's all good. But at the end of the day, when we're having these debates, the teams that did not quite make the playoffs, we can point to them and say, maybe you should have, maybe you shouldn't have. But you did have an opportunity to finish in the top 4 of your conference, or you had the opportunity to be one of the top 2 ranked teams in the G6. You're going to be able to point to that. This 12-team playoff was designed before the real impact of NIL, rev share, transfer portal, and conference expansion, conference realignment, and the elimination of the Pac-12 as a Power 5 conference. It's obsolete. We have larger conferences, imbalanced schedules. And a democratization of the sport. Like, the talent is more spread out, not just in high school recruiting, but in the transfer portal. The playoffs have got to grow. As crazy as it sounds, it's got to grow. And I think it's got to grow to 24 because it's the perfect number. People then say, Greg, you're going to lose the intrigue of some of these games. I think the intrigue is going to change. Instead of the Buckeyes, are you going to make it or not? Or Alabama, are you going to make it or not? Georgia, are you going to make it or not? Miami, are you going to make it or not? The intrigue is, are you going to be able to have a first round bye and a second round home game versus having a first round home game versus are you going to be on the road in the first round versus are you not going to make the playoffs? There are different tiers of motivation in a 2014 playoff. You're going to have intrigue. Let's say there's a 2014 playoff happening this year. Oregon against Washington. Is Oregon, they better win that game. If they don't, they're not going to finish in the top 8. They're not going to have that first round bye, second round home game on their campus. Miami, they're sitting there at 11 or 12. Boy, they're on the edge. They're probably going to have to play that first round game at home. But they may be able to squeeze in. Maybe they get an ACC. You go right down the line. Right down the line. Pittsburgh, if they beat Miami, they could slide in possibly as a 16 seed. Maybe they get a first round home game. Just go right down the line. Are we going to make it or not? Are we going to get in the playoffs or not? You still have that. But then you have the case of, boy, I really love to have that first round home game on campus. And then you're really going to have that, oh boy, I really want that first round bye, second round home game on campus. You're still going to have all the intrigue. I think you're going to have even more intrigue. But at the end of the day, your playoffs have to be designed to give your regular season the most value as possible. The 12-team playoffs have given the regular season way more value than the 14 playoffs. And this is where very smart people like Josh Pate has got it wrong. The people who are for this pure, very small playoffs, they did not see that the 12-team playoffs was going to be more valuable than the 14 playoffs for the regular season. I think the 2014 playoff absolutely blows away the 12-team playoffs when it comes to increasing the value of the regular season, especially in this day and age where things have changed. Now, there is the laws of diminishing return, right? I don't think a playoff beyond 24 is the way to go. I think 24 is the perfect number. But with that 24, you're going to have to move up the calendar, the football calendar. The football schedule up in the calendar. 6 at-large spots is going to ensure and increase the games, the value of the non-conference schedules. Because that is your first bite of the apple. Your non-conference games are the first bite of the apples. You want to line up against a big-timer program. Because if you win that game, those 6 at-large spots come into play for you. If you lose that game, okay, you've hurt your chance for that large spot, but you have the second bite of the apple. You have your conference race, which should be really important because you play 9 of your 12 games in the regular season against your conference mates. Those conference games should mean more. My opinion, of course. 3-Eye Atlas is the favorite this weekend. Greg gets 24 teams, but Minnesota's 25th. Probably. Silent Tony says 24. The one thing that Tony Petiti got right, in which he's not going to get credited for, except for on this program, Tony Petiti got it right when he said, Tony Petiti said the following: I am not blaming the committee. I am not saying that they're doing a bad job. I'm not saying anything about any of that. What Tony Petiti is saying is, we have given them the impossible task. There is no way to separate these teams. In large conferences, imbalanced schedules, a 10-2 versus a 9-3, 11-1 versus 10-2. They played that team, head to head early on. It is the impossible task. So, selfishly speaking, I'm hoping for absolute chaos during this playoff, during the selection show, because that is going to be fuel to drive to the 24-team playoffs that I hope happens someday. All right, guys, we're going to shut it down. We've been on the air for an hour and 46 minutes. I want to say thank you to those who donated this channel to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. MBM, Evil Badger, Ryan Thomas, Larry Andrick. I appreciate you guys' generosity. Appreciate the phone calls. And everybody in the chat room, I do appreciate it. Earlier in the show, we did our PATC rendition of Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you. Go check it out. All about the Lane Kiffin drama. Lane Kiffin decision is drawing near. I really hope we do not get a leak that Lane Kiffin is leaving before the Egg Bowl on Friday. I think that would be terrible for the Ole Miss football players. So that's what I'm hoping for. I hope we truly do not know what's going to happen until Saturday. But buckle up, brace for impact. There's going to be a wild week of football, and we are going to be doing some watch parties. I do not have anything official. My wife has a crazy work weekend this week. So I'm still trying to work that out. But keep your head on a swivel. Buckle up, brace for impact. Make sure you are subscribed to our channel and ring the notification bell, because we can come on live at any time. And there's going to be a lot of breaking news. And one of those news might be Lane Kiffin. So brace for impact. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers. Thank you, Balls fan 22K7, for your generosity. I appreciate the $10 holla. Put the tinfoil hat on. Commissioner is going to bribe the CFP committee to keep the ACC champ out of the playoff this year. Woo! The Big Ten commissioner is going to bribe the CFP committee so that the ACC jumps on board the 24-team CFP. I just don't see the ACC champion not being, unless it's Duke. All right, the tinfoil hat is on. The tinfoil hat is on. Tony Petiti going to bribe the CFP committee. That is not my words, Tony Petiti. I'm just reading a super chat. Don't sue me, Rosemont, Illinois. Thank you, Bulls fan. I appreciate your super chat. Appreciate your generosity. The Duke chaos would be hilarious. Yes, it would be. Until next time, from all of us, PATC, thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow or tonight if there's breaking news on the Lane Kiffin situation.